Yeah, so we're covering, as we started last time, covering the masterclass book. We covered already the first chapter from uh, Mochi, and now we're covering the second chapter, which is written by Mark Olson. And as I mentioned before, it's an important concept. He's covering game plan, and it's important uh, to your checker play. And what I've had difficulty with a lot of his problems um, that I think I think were hard to go over and hard to explain. So but this is a general topic. It's a very important topic. So I have a number of other um, positions to go over, and I'd like to go over uh, probably at least 4 sessions on those, and then I'm going to also delve into a little bit again off topic from the book. Um, how to play certain game plans or what you're looking at. So if you're doing a priming game plan, what are you trying to do? We'll talk about coming to the edge of the prime and extending the prime. If you talk about blitzing, we talked a little bit about that, but there's plenty of interesting topics on that. And in terms of, with the hitting game or the holding game, we'll talk about, things like when you break the anchor and when do you leave a shot and that sort of thing. So we'll get into sessions on those. But for now, I wanted to cover some more problems or positions in which the game plan is an important consideration, as it usually is. And you get well, I would say that we've covered a lot on the early game with Michi's book, and then even Mochi's section last time, the priming versus attacking or blitzing strategy formation. And even Michi's back checker strategy had a lot of early game consideration. So we're now primarily what's in the middle game and end game. At least we'll be looking at those positions. So let's take a look at the one that's out there now. 3-1 to play. What do we see, and what are the issues here?
Well, the issue is Black might have had I'd be curious what Black rolled, what it looked like before Black's last shake.
Yeah. Well, that would be interesting, but I have no idea.
Okay. So then the next question, the next thing is, with that in mind, looks like Black's got a pretty powerful double coming up under most any circumstance, no matter how you play it.
You think so?
I do personally.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look at that, but let's
so with that in mind, I wouldn't step up, right? That's number one. I guess the big question is step up or not, and my vote is no.
Yeah. So two things, clear things. We're going to make the 5 point, and we can make it with the 3 or the 1. And then the next question is, should we step up? Now, ordinarily, if you're playing against the prime, you want to step up because you want to get to the edge of the prime so that you can jump over it. And if you're not at the edge of the prime, you can still jump over it. If we had gotten a 3-6, we could have stepped over it, but that's 2 rolls, and it's likely Black's going to extend the prime, and we don't have much of a shot there yet. But not if we're stuck at the ace point. But why? So why wouldn't so ordinarily it's almost automatic. If you're at the edge of a prime, or if you're behind the prime, you need to get to the edge of the prime. Why wouldn't we do it in this case?
Because Black's happy to hit loose at the edge of the prime.
Yeah. Well, yeah, generally you are. If you're going to roll the prime forward, you're going to hit loose, but it's even worse than that, I think, from here.
Well, you're making okay, so you're playing 13 against 1 again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. So if we stepped up, Black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 builders to point on you. 5 builders is 25 rolls, roughly speaking. And the way that you figure that out is you count the number of builders, and I count these because you're going to break these points if if it makes sense, if you can point on us there. So and the way you figure out is you take the number of builders from different points and you basically square that number, and that's the number of rolls. So 25 out of 36 rolls are going to point on you, which is not a very good not very good odds.
Plus double one.
Well, yeah, there's other jokers.
Well, double ones, yeah. So there are just a lot of good rolls. And so let's say we don't step up. What do we do? Where do we do with the 3?
Well, it's interesting because if it's double match point, I'll do it different than facing this formation. I mean, given the fact it's match play and a cube's coming, and I don't like what's coming, I'd hunker down this time. Meaning probably 2 to the 5.
2 to the 5. Yeah. So this is. Did I get everybody? Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is sort of, I guess, the safe play, and that there's nothing. Well, we're not leaving blots around from that perspective. So if black does, I guess we'd have to worry about black pointing out. So if he does make that prime, we're not stuck leaving blots around. It also is nice in that you've got an extra spare here on the 5 point, so that you can. I mean, our only chance to win this game is really to block black in and force black to break his prime. So we'd really like to make this 5 point, and not making the 5 point. We'd like to make the 4 point. We're going to counteract his prime with our own prime if we can. And short of that, black is going to try to escape at some point. Maybe we can hit him in and contain him, maybe even close him out. We've got 1 checker back, so we've got 14 checkers to bring around to do that with. It's not inconceivable that we do that. So let's look at the right answer here. And we can see that so this is the top play, kind of stacking the 5 point. Making the 5 point and coming down is also a good play. We can see why that might be good. It's more chances to make the bar point, and that's what we really want to make right now.
That's my DMP play.
Okay.
DM play is 10 and 5.
Yeah.
I think.
Then this is a blunder coming up, but coming up to the 21 point from the back is a very large blunder. I guess the first one, yeah. So and the reason is that you don't want to put yourself under all that pressure, even though typically the right play is you want to get to the edge of the prime so you can hop over it. Just to Stu's question is this a double next time? We can tell, but we're still, we're in far better shape than I think you thought, Stu. We're at 45% to win here.
Yep, that's better than I thought.
Yeah, so this is no double here.
Okay.
Black still has a lot, because again, we've got 14 checkers, to contain him.
2 checkers back, yeah, I see.
Yeah, and he's got 2 checkers back, stuck on his 8th point. So, he's going to be looking to get out, and we have, after this play, we've got a prime forming, and we can extend it forward. We'd like to make the bar now, but if not, we should be able to make the 3 or the 2 or something. Black's going to have to escape unless it gets double 6s. Going to have to escape with 1 checker, and then we can attack the other one.
Well, here's what I look at it a little different. Here's why I look at it a little different, because that 7, the bar point on the yellow side of the board is so important. And I think black's going to be able to snake forward. White can sit there and I think let deteriorate till he gets a 6 prime. Just thinking ahead 4 or 5 rolls.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at a variation of this.
Gary,
Yeah,
um, is this considered like a prime versus prime? And if you're behind in the race, that's really a good thing?
well, it's sort of. I mean, black clearly has a prime, and I guess you could consider that. But white has a prime too, but obviously black's prime is much better because black doesn't have this gap. This gap is a huge weakness for the prime. On the other hand, when you're looking at prime versus prime, there's some things you're looking at. You're going to look at the quality of the prime, meaning are there gaps and how long it is. So this is a 5' versus a 4'. And so black is better because it has a better, longer prime. And it's also better because there's no gap. But you also have to look at how many checkers are behind the prime. And so here, white has the advantage that he only has one checker behind the prime. And so that's the big advantage. He only has to escape once, whereas black is going to have to escape with 2. So yeah, so it's so that, which is why those two things, as opposed to those two the advantages in the prime offset the advantage are greater than the advantage from having the extra checker back. But yeah, so and yeah, in general, it's a question of timing. It's not so much as being behind in the race, although generally that's a good proxy for timing. It's how good is your timing? How many checkers can you move? So in that case, actually, even though white is kind of ahead in the race, white has better timing from the perspective that he's got all these checkers he can move forward, and black, black doesn't. Black is going to probably have to crack his prime sooner. Now this assumes that black can't escape a black checker and not get hit. If he does that, then that's going to improve his timing a lot. So it's a lot of this, so the ideas are there. There are a lot of ideas, but it's a question of how you interpret them, or how they apply in this given situation. So yeah, you have to. It's really specific to the position that you have. All right, so let's take just one variation of this. And here, all I did is move the point here back. And so how do you think that changes things?
Well, even if we just move to the 23 point, we've now got an exit. So my guess would be make the 5 points and move to the 23.
Yeah. If we come up here now, we're at Ray called it an exit. Yeah, now we have 6 to play. It's one of the ways up here people say you can see the light. The light meaning if you can hop out with a 6 or a 5 or something and get past it. So, and this is effectively the edge of the prime, because we now have a pathway to jump over it. And so somewhat surprisingly is that actually stacking the 5 point is still the best play. But it's now an even play to step up. And to step up to the 23 point, stepping up to the 21 point is still a blunder. And for the same reason, although it's not as bad as it was, and it's not as bad a play now, but if you step up here, now you got builders from here, and here. So instead of 5 points, you've got 4 points that can point on you. So it's clearly better to step up to the 2 point where you're not really under attack, and you're not sitting on the point that black wants to make next. But there's much to be said for stepping up there. I'm kind of surprised that not stepping up isn't much better than this play. I would always do this play, I think. Um,
Well,
Okay.
I think that if you step up with a 1, you duplicate the good 6s to escape and to potentially make that critical bar point.
um,
And you want 5s to
yeah,
escape.
this is true, but you know, here escaping is much more a viable approach, and we're farther ahead in the race. You know, we're up by 16 here instead of 6. After the roll, I guess it was 10 after the roll. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd like to 6-1, 6-2. You're probably going to make the bar point down here, and if you get a 6-1 next time, it's probably better off to make the bar point than to try to come out. But you know, but the other numbers 6-5, 6-4, double 6s, you know, now you have the chance to escape if you step up that way. Okay, let's go on to the next one. All right, what do we think of this position? 5-1 to play.
Let's say 6s, 3s, 1s. Well, now let somebody else go first.
So what do we see that's going to be important here?
I mean, from my standpoint, White's well behind in the race, has that advanced anchor, which I always thought was a sign to go, you know, boldness, right? So I don't want Black to anchor and then escape. So I think I would hit the 3-point, leaves the 1 to play. And much as I don't like stepping up 24 to 23, I suppose I'd do that.
Yeah, so if we, you know, when we're in, you know, situations like this, we're kind of struggling where there's no obvious play. Obviously, you know, if we had the 5-3, we'd point on them there. That would be easy. Or 3-1 or something like that. We're kind of struggling for what to look for. So certain things that you're always looking for.
Gary, you've
You know,
taken
one is
two
the
checkers
race.
off.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ray.
Taken 2 checkers off.
Did I take 2 checkers? I did take 2 checkers off.
Yeah.
That's better.
3, 6, 4,
Yeah, see,
7.
that was delivered just as Sven was paying attention. Thank you, Ray. You get a gold star. Sorry about that. So we're still up in the race. So you're gonna look at these type of positions where there's no obvious move and there's no obvious play. Is you're gonna look at bases. We're down in the race. Okay. That's always important. Well, what about our board? Well, we have a better board. We have which is, you know, we have a 4-point, which is better than Black doesn't have anything. And in fact, we have an advanced anchor. Now, Stuart and I were just talking about in the next question just before we started is in the Mishi version of things, if you have the advanced anchor, you're going to play safely. However, this is not the I forget which stage she called it. This is not the stage she's talking about because we already have the extra checker back. And so maybe, maybe this, this is a situation where, okay, not only do we have, it's not like we need to play safe because we want to preserve our racing equity. We've already lost it because we got another checker back. So here's a case where, we should be thinking of bold versus safe. Can we play boldly? Is there a bold play? And we can play boldly. We're behind in the race. That's a criteria. We have the better board. That's a criteria. We have the anchor. So based on that, we should hit. We're going to go 8-3. And then the question is, well, what's the best one?
You know what? How about make the 3-point?
So we could step up and make the 3-point, leaving the blot on the 4. Or realistically, it's 24-23. Because we're not gonna slot and leave 2 blots in here. We can't move that one. We're not gonna break our anchor. And we're not gonna break the 8-point if we hit there. So the question is, do you want? It's this, and so now we know. I think it was Michi talked about that. And in general, if you have a single checker back, you're better off having him on the ace point rather than the deuce point. So this, if this were choice, we'd rather have this than this. Okay, but that's not our choice. So our choice is this or this.
Well, we can always hit and move on to the 2-point. But what's wrong with that?
Well, that was the choices that we're looking for. So, but and this one, I would reject this one just because we're giving up the better point. We'd much rather have the 4-point than the 3-point. And so that, to me, that gives up a lot. Potentially we're losing that point, and I'd rather not do that. If I'm going to get hit, I'd rather get hit there. And then this, we're giving up some value there, but this is not that much.
I don't know. I would say
that
that the counter argument is now that guy's exposed to 3 checkers, not 2. And you want to you get better coverage of that quadrant by being back 1.
Well,
So
you do get better coverage. I would say,
it's
if
close.
Black wants to hit us off the 2-point, then go ahead.
Can you run that?
Particularly, I mean, if he hits us from this point, he's broken his bar point, and that's a big weakness.
Oh, I understand that.
So and when once he's done that, his chance of priming us is not so great, because he's taken 2 checkers, made a deep point, and he can't really then extend. He wants to extend the prime here or here. He's given up his priming chances. So, all right, let's look at the answer. Oops. Yeah, and the answer is to step up.
Step up, yeah. But
Yeah,
not by 23, is that what it is? I can't read it.
Yeah,
No,
24, 23 is to step up. And actually, the next best place is not to hit, it's to come down.
Yeah.
And then this, surprisingly, this, I would never consider this, but hitting
never.
and splitting, breaking your 4-point to come up to the 5. This is, it's not terrible because it gives you some jokers, double 3s or double 1s, or even double 2s, but surprisingly that's better. And then this actually is the worst. Oh, actually no. Yeah. Just stepping forward to the 2-point is better than just making the 3-point. So one of the things I would conclude from that is don't make, in most circumstances, you're not going to want to break a good point to make a weaker point. When you have alternatives. I mean, there may be cases where that's the right thing to do, but there are certainly alternatives here which aren't that bad. All right. Did I record this? I did. Okay, good. I forgot for a moment. All right. 3-2 to play. What do we have here?
I think the 3's just about forced. It's the only way to make the 5-point.
Yeah.
So that
yeah, I mean the first thing you got to see is, okay, we got to make the 5-point.
So we're just going to think about the 2.
Yeah, this question is the 2. What do we do with the 2? And so, again, we look at what's our game plan here? What are we in? So what is our game plan here? And what's our opponent's game plan?
You want to, yellow wants to run.
Yeah, and why is that?
I can't read the numbers, but my sense is you got one checker back against two, and to me that visually looks like you want to. I think you're heading the race there. Just
Yeah,
where's the?
well, yeah, the race is down here, so as you can see where my
I know. I
cursor is.
just can't, I'm trying to look at it from a distance.
Oh, you can't read it.
Without
Okay, yeah.
that.
So we're up. Yeah, we're up 16. We want to race because generally, if you have a single checker back, that's the only strategy you can have. It's not like you can anchor and hit. So you've got to escape. So we'd like to escape this, and we're up in the race. And black has a prime. It's not the best prime necessarily, but it's still a 4 prime. It's not necessarily given that you 4 primes can cause you a lot of trouble trying to get over them. I mean, they're not as strong as 5 primes, but it's something to worry about. So what's the question then? So obviously we're going to make, I hope obviously we're going to make the 5 point. Because that gives us the brokered 5 prime. That's the logical place to be. We now have a lot of builders that can go that can either extend the prime either to the bar point or the 4 point. Even the 3 point, we'd rather do the 4 or the bar, but we can, that would extend the prime. So the question is so we played 3. What do we do with the 2?
Step up.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
Okay. Now typically when you're playing against the prime, you want to step up to the edge, or not the edge, then where you can see the light, or where you can jump out with a 6. So this doesn't really do that. Not really, in fact, it doesn't do it at all. But is there some advantage to stepping up? And part of this, okay, what's the option? We can slot here, we can break that point and come down, go 8 to 6, or slot the 4 point.
The advantage of coming up is that it makes it harder for black to use a checker from the 16 point to extend his prime.
Agreed.
Yes, exactly. If we're here,
so if you got 4-1,
this is the end of the prime. Now black doesn't want to use that, doesn't want to break that point.
4-1. What else?
Yeah, 4-1 even
4-3,
like a 6-3 or a 6-5. That's if you he wouldn't make it a 6-5. He'd run back, but like a 6-3 or something like that.
And it's not too serious.
Black probably wouldn't do that with a 6-3. He'd probably run out with the 6-3. So it puts pressure on these back checkers, and in particular now that one of the freezes 16 point, because those are kind of stuck now, because once you break them, you break your prime, or you give white an out, and so that's a huge win for white if black does that, even if black points on white at this point, because now black can come in with a 4, or if black points on white here on the 3 point, white will then be on the bar, but he can come with a 4 and a 5, and all of a sudden he's the priming game plan is not very strong. Okay, and then none of the other 2s that white could play are very attractive. I mean, this one you're going to slot and give black a chance to basically put you away right now. This is the only safe play, but you're stacking the 6 point. It's not very flexible. This one, okay, now you've given black a chance to again hit you, put you behind the bar, put you behind the race, and now you're in more trouble than before. And then this same situation, you have more chances of making the bar, but black rolls a 1. Now you got 2 checkers behind the prime. So part of it is there's no other place. So it's stepping up. And the second option is actually slotting the 4 point. White has its own prime, and it wants to extend it forward. So sliding the 4 point is the best thing for that. Again, this stacks the eights, not so good. This is again trying to extend the prime by sliding a point. And again, there's that. This play is also a safe play, but you could have made the 5 point and with relative safety, but now in this play you're making the 3 point, which is a much weaker point, doesn't extend your prime. Not much to be said for it here. Okay, let's go on to, we got 3 more to cover. I want to do it in 10 minutes or so. So this is a tricky one. So what do we see here?
Well, white starts out behind in the race by 14 pips. So even a successful, that if you run out all the way, there's a risk of twos, and in addition to that, you're still behind in the race. So running doesn't look like.
Yeah. So traditionally the 6-4, typically on the first roll, the 6-4, you could either run out, and that's a good move. You could make the 2 point, or you could do the split. So those are the typical options. However, in this case, black rolled double 5s, and so we're down by 14 pips. So now when you're searching for things to do, here's one that we just covered. Mochi just covered it. That I think gives the best clue as to what you should do. Does anyone see it now? Well, let me point out to you. So, do we have a priming structure or a blitzing structure?
A priming structure.
Yeah, it's priming. Now, some of these are tricky because we still have the stack here in the 6, but
Yeah, I mean,
but it's
without the 5 point or the 7 point, I hardly consider that it's a pre-priming position. It's too virgin, too early.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Yeah, but it tends to be more priming.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it can. Yeah, you're right. It can go either way, and we've seen situations, I think, where this, because of the stack on the 6 point, that you might call it a blitzing structure. But let's look at. But more importantly, what does black have going?
Black's definitely blitzing.
Yeah, black has made the 3 point. That's early in the game. That's a clear blitzing structure. So if we're playing, regardless of what we would consider we have, if you're playing against the blitzing structure, what do you do with your back checkers?
We basically never split them.
That's right. Don't split them. So that's
we also have the overstack on from a tactical point of view on the midpoint. You've got, in terms of checker mobility, you're stacked on there. So what needs to move if you can't move the back checkers or the front checkers? Unstacking is a good tactical thing to do.
That's right. Yeah, and that goes back to one of Michi's proverbs. Unstack the what do you call it? Move the mountain, or unstack the mountain, or something like that.
So that,
but yeah, basically unstack the heavy point.
7-9.
Yeah. So now that we've seen that, we black is in a blitzing structure. That tells us, okay, don't touch the back checkers. So that would rule out the running play, and it would rule out the 6-4 split, the up and down split. And so what does that leave us?
2 down from the mid.
Slot.
Yeah, 2 down. Well, making the 2 point is an option, but 2 down is really kind of it. And that's that turns out to be the best play. We're in a again, it's premature, but it's a blitz. I'm not blitzing, a priming structure. If we bring 2 down, now we've brought more spares down. We've slotted a point that we'd like to make, so that turns out to be the right move, even though it gives black the direct 6 to hit. And the running play is just the wrong game plan. It's not terrible because after the move we're only down 4, and that's not bad. And then
Plus to get hit.
I would have thought this would have been the second best play, but it's not. You've stripped your 8-point. You've given up your priming game plan basically by making a deep point, and you don't have spares down to either attack or extend the prime or do anything. So that's kind of the problem with that play. And then this one again, it's wrong. Your black wants to is in a blitzing formation, and so don't give him the ammunition to hit. So here is the case where if we look for the right principles long enough, and we can remember Mochi's priming versus blitzing strategy, that gives you the clue as to what the right play is. And this is you'll rarely see where this is the right play with a 6-4. But here it is.
The other thing is black currently has 10 men in the zone.
Yeah, and so what does that tell you? Why is that important?
Well, again, that's don't touch the back checkers.
Yeah. Well, again, if we go back to splitting rules, one of the signs to not split was your opponent had 10 or more in the zone. Yeah, because that's all part of being the blitzing formation. That's black's best game plan is to blitz at this point. And the 10 in the zone is a sign for that. All right.
Wow, I love these.
Yeah, so here's another tricky one.
My butt just says make the bar point.
Okay.
The opposing bar point. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah. So and why should we listen to Stuart's butt?
The only alternative is making the 3-point. But it's,
yeah. I mean, well, first of all, you could run out from the back and safety it to the midpoint, but most of by having come in this situation that it's always better to make the bar point. So we can dismiss that. It's better to make the bar point than the run out. So so it's really make the bar point or point on black on the 3-point. And so why is that better? And it is better. Making the bar point is the right play. Why is it? I'll put it up. Why is it better? What about the position tells you to?
Well, you have to. You're being primed, and you have to disrupt his game plan. You've also only got 9 checkers in the zone and a weaker board, so your blitz is going to be necessarily weaker. But you just kill all game plans by moving out to the bar. Plus, you've got the security of coming back in. If you do get hit on the 9, you have an anchor. It's not in the home board, but at least you can move. At least it's still a form of security. Come in and hop out again.
Yeah. All good points there. By making this point, we've disrupted. Black has two game plans going on. Really, he's got a good prime potential there. He just makes the bar, or even attacking now because he's got 11 checkers. Well, you call this a half checker, but 10 and a half checkers in the zone. 3 strong 3-point board versus nothing. From here, black can either attack or he can prime. Either one will work pretty well. And by making that bar point, the prime is out of the question, and attacking is unlikely. Although, but the risk, of course, is black can roll a 6 and hit its back, and then now black can attack again. So all that tends to favor making the point. And on the other side, also good points were made is that we can point on black and we can make our 3-point, but we don't have the ammunition to carry much further. Making the 3-point this early in the game is a blitzing structure, and we don't have the ammunition to do a blitz. When your opponent has the strong board, the 4, 5, and 6-point, generally you're not going to want to blitz. You have to be pretty careful about leaving blots. When you're blitzing, you're going to leave blots. You're going to attack relentlessly. but you're also going to likely to get hit back. And when your opponent has the better board, you got to be careful doing that. So we're better off securing the anchor now. In fact, it's actually it's the only thing that saves us from a cube next time, or a double and a pass. It probably still is a cube next time, but anyway, so a lot of signs point to that. If you think through it, look at Black's game plan, and let's try to disrupt his game plan. Look at our game plan. We don't really have a good game plan here on our side of the board. So
That's
all right,
why my
last
thinking
one.
never reached my brain. It just that was an automatic.
Yeah, was it? You see enough of these things and see the answer, and yeah, it becomes clear what you should do. But it's far better to know why and be able to think it through.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Because we're coming up with a lot of situations which aren't, that we haven't seen so much before, that aren't that clear. All right, here's another one. Two really good plays that I can see. Well, two very constructive plays that I can see. One of them is a whole lot better than the other.
Yeah.
So what first of all, what are they and which is which?
Make
I'll
the
go
4 point
second.
or run.
I'm sorry, Greg, go ahead.
Make the 4 point or run out. Run
Yeah,
from the
so
midpoint.
we can make the 4 point putting Black on the bar, or we can run out. Safety in our back checker, and so those are two different game plans. One is, say, attacking with possibly priming as good options. Actually, even racing is an option if we make the 4 point, because now we have the better board. We have a broken 5 prime, but it's a prime. We can still run out with a decent 6 something or whatever. So those are the options. And if we run out, what's our primary game plan going to be?
Race.
Yeah, probably racing. We could still, there's an outside chance we could attack or prime, but really that's the racing strategy. So and so here, let's look at that. And what do we think of the racing strategy based on this?
We don't like
race is now about level, and Black is still trapped and could be hit next time. I mean, I would definitely do this. It seems to solve most problems. And
you think the race is right, Ray?
well, we're way ahead now, aren't we? Is that
No, we're up 4.
so? We're after the 9.
This
We're
is
up
after the
13.
roll. Yeah,
that's after the play.
yeah. Start before the roll. We're down 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
this
after
is not the right spot. I'm sorry. We're down 5.
So after we're ahead,
and after
on
the
roll,
roll,
so it's
we're
level.
up
It's
4.
sort of level, isn't it? The race, because he's on roll. He's 4 behind, but he's on roll. So I regard the race as level, but we've got a trap checker to hit. I would have thought.
Yeah, but he's got 2 numbers to escape partially or wholly, and you may miss him if he only escapes partially. I think, in my humble opinion, pulling on her little head.
Yeah, so here, if we run out, we're basically, for the most part, we're playing a racing game. Now, yes, there's some chance to prime, or we might get a roll again to the point, but as Stu pointed out, if Black gets a six anything, we've got 1 shot to hit, and we're down in the race. We're only up in the race by 4 after this roll, whereas this play, we're now up in the race by 9, so we're better off there by 5. We have the stronger board. Black is on the bar. Black can't point on us other than a joke or a double 2s.
Another way of looking at it is Black has only you're both in a similar situation where you have 1 back checker to escape.
Yeah.
And given that the race is so level, you tend to want to hit to prevent the last back checker from escaping.
Yeah.
And you have two spares perfectly positioned. You know, they want to, thinking in sort of McGreal's terms, they want to go to either the 7 or the 4 point,
Yes.
and you build the rack and you build it on their head.
Right.
So you sort of just tot up the advantages.
Right.
And but yeah, it's just very strong to have
Yeah.
that formation.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
would
All
also
those
say
are
that
really good points. And
Yeah.
particularly, oh, this is not right here. I keep putting this
you
on.
got a powerful double coming up after this shake. If it say you point on his head, he comes in with something mundane like a 3-5.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I just want to bring out the point that, and this is something we haven't discussed, but single checker back. I mentioned it in the earlier problem. You're trying to escape. You're only really game plan with a single checker back is to race, if that's what you have. It's not always true. Obviously, we're in this plan where you can play, but in this case, black's game plan is to race, and so and often we'll want to hit loose if we're playing against a single checker back. We're going to want to hit loose to prevent that checker from escaping. So by pointing on him, we prevent that. We make that game plan a little bit more difficult. All right. In any case, so let's go on, take a look at it, and in this case, making the pointing on is far greater. And
That's
anything
huge,
else
isn't it?
is just a blunder. And again, you make that point, you make a strong prime, even though it's broken. You have the strong 6-5-4 formation with black on the bar. That's very strong. Black can't come in and accomplish anything much at all. And then you've gone up farther in the race. All those kind of little, not actually some of them were pretty big, but all those things are, overwhelm the running play.
I think you might even you'd likely point on their head, even if it involved or it entailed breaking the 8 point, even without the spares, because for the first reason, the hitting to prevent escaping mentality.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now for this particular role, let's see if I don't know that would.
I'm Melanie Hughes.
Yeah, I'm not sure this one. Yeah, okay, it's still right. Yeah, actually, you're right. It would, even with that, I would have to think more about that because I'm breaking the 8 point and now we're this one we're up, farther in the race. But that's a good thing to remember and know that even though we're up 7, that and here we've broken a point. It's still better to put that guy in the bar. You're not giving that many shots here, but you are giving up some. Although it is much stronger. So, again, the difference here was like a 0.3, and now it's 0.1. So this is still a huge blunder to do this, but but obviously it was much stronger to have this checker here, where you didn't.
I like what Michi says about these positions as well. This is the first one of these I've attended, by the way. So you may have covered this in previous ones, but when you have one checker back, you are not in the advanced stage with an advanced that you are in when you have an advanced anchor. It's still existing somewhere between the kind of early stage and the advanced play safer stage, because you have that work to do to extricate that back checker. So you tend to take slightly more risks with that other example where we break the 8 point to point on black's head. It makes sense because you've got the one checker back, and that sort of forces you to take a little bit more risk to sort of buy time to get it moving once you have the race advantage. I think that's in Michi's book.
Yeah. Okay, very good. That will do it. I'm trying to ran over a little bit, but getting close.